Do you think the German Tiger was the perfect tank of World War II? A symbol of strength, precision, and engineering genius? What if I told you that inside this machine lurked a nightmare? One that soldiers feared as much as enemy shells. Tiger crews burned alive, suffocated in overheated air, drowned in their own fuel tanks. Their tanks became death traps right in the middle of the battlefield. They didn't die from enemy fire. They were killed by the very machine they were proud of. German engineers created a monster that could crush fortifications but couldn't survive real war. And the more the front needed a miracle, the more the Tiger devoured its own men. Why were they forced to fight inside a tank that looked glorious in parades, but on the battlefield turned into a steel coffin? Why did the legend of the invincible Tiger become the Third Reich's most terrifying lie? Watch till the end, and you'll understand why the tanks that terrified the Allies became hell for their own crews.
In the West, it's called a masterpiece of war, the symbol of the Third Reich's engineering genius. For many, it's the icon of World War II, the image of a perfect, fearsome, almost mythical tank. The Tiger became a legend, and that's why so few know the truth. Behind its shining armor was not brilliance, but a technical nightmare slowly destroying the army, the economy, and the men inside it. The story of the Tiger began not on the battlefield, but in offices, where ambition and propaganda mattered more than common sense. German generals dreamed of a tank that could decide a battle with a single shot. They wanted a machine that would crush everything in its path, and they thought they had built it. But in trying to create the perfect weapon, they built a monster too heavy for its own country to carry. Many love to compare the Tiger with the Soviet T-34, and they always conclude that the German tank was stronger, more precise, more terrifying. But that comparison is flawed from the start. The T-34 was a medium tank built for maneuver warfare. The Tiger was a heavy, almost immobile colossus built to break fortifications. It's like comparing a hunting knife to a blacksmith's hammer, both dangerous but made for entirely different purposes. The Tiger's weight became its first curse. Almost 60 tons of steel turned every march into an ordeal. Bridges bent, roads cracked, and on soft ground, the tank sank deep into the mud. On the Eastern Front, it often bogged down where the T-34 passed with ease. Even its suspension couldn't handle it. Wheels cracked, torsion bars bent, and tracks slipped off during sharp maneuvers. The Maybach engine was reliable in theory. In practice, it suffered under the strain. To move 60 tons, it had to work beyond its limits. Overheating was constant. German tanker Alfred Rubbel recalled how, during long marches, they listened to every sound of the motor, fearing the hiss of boiling cylinders. When cooling water leaked into the combustion chambers, the tank began to choke, losing power, turning from a predator into a slow, dying beast.
The heat inside the fighting compartment was unbearable. Gas fumes, exhaust smoke, the stench of oil and sweat mixed with burning metal. Under the sun, the armor got so hot it could burn the skin. Mechanics fainted, loaders tore skin off their hands, and commanders watched their gunners cough, trying not to show weakness. All this inside a machine the world called a masterpiece of engineering. Then came the second, deadlier flaw. The Tiger ran on gasoline, not diesel like the T-34. It seemed a small detail, but it turned the tank into a bomb. Gasoline burned hotter and faster, and any damage to the fuel system could be fatal. A shell lodged in the armor often caused a flash fire that engulfed the engine compartment.
Crews feared not enemy shells, but their own fuel. The Tiger's fuel consumption shocked even German officers. Its tanks lasted barely 100 kilometers. Every column required huge convoys of fuel trucks. In wartime, when oil was scarce, this was suicidal. Dozens of tanks were abandoned on the roads, later blown up by their own crews to prevent capture. But even when it didn't burn or break, the Tiger broke the men who had to maintain it. The interleaved wheel system, elegant on paper, hell in reality. To replace one outer wheel, mechanics had to remove nearly 10 others. It took hours. In mud, days. And when the temperature dropped below zero, everything froze solid. Mechanics cursed their engineers as even basic repairs turned into torture. Its sluggishness was another death sentence. At long range, the Tiger truly ruled the battlefield. Its 88mm gun was deadly accurate, but once the enemy closed in, its advantage vanished. The massive hull couldn't turn fast enough, the turret rotated slowly, and the engine roared in agony like a tired beast. Soviet and American crews learned to flank it, to hit its weak spots. One maneuver, and the giant became a sitting target.
Germany tried to hold the front by building more tanks, but each Tiger was too expensive. One Tiger cost as much as 4 Panzer IVs or 5 T-34s. While Soviet factories produced thousands of simple, cheap, reliable tanks, German engineers kept refining what was already flawed. It became an addiction. The worse things got at the front, the more Berlin believed in miracle machines. But miracles don't happen when the economy collapses. Soon even the best armor couldn't hide reality. Germany lost access to chromium, molybdenum, and other key metals for quality steel. They had to replace them with poor substitutes, and the Tiger's armor became brittle like glass. Heavy shells might not penetrate, but they left cracks where water, oil, and smoke seeped in. The machine built as a symbol of strength was literally falling apart from within. The crews felt it first. They knew they were riding a tank that looked terrifying outside, but was deadly inside. In battle, they moved cautiously, afraid to overheat the engine, afraid to stall in the open, afraid to become sitting targets. For many tankers, the Tiger wasn't a weapon, it was a trial. They were proud of it, yet understood that with each mission, their chances of coming home grew smaller. Serving in a Tiger crew was considered elite. They were filmed for newsreels, decorated, praised in propaganda. But behind the camera was another reality: constant stress, heat, noise, exhaustion. Men sealed inside steel lost their sense of time, sleep, even their own voices. Veterans who survived dozens of battles said that after the Tiger, it felt like they had lived through a metallic hell.
And all of this, for one thing, the legendary 88mm gun. The same gun that once shot down planes and destroyed tanks from a kilometer away. The entire Tiger was built around it. It wasn't a tank in the usual sense. It was a gun given armor, wheels, and an engine. Yes, it struck fear with its accuracy, but if battle didn't fit its design, the whole tank turned into a helpless mass of steel. That's why the Tiger became a dead end. Too complex, too costly, too fragile. It needed perfect conditions, which didn't exist on either front. While German crews struggled with repairs, Soviet columns advanced hundreds of kilometers, filling the battlefield with fresh tanks. After the war, the myth of the Tiger didn't die. It grew. Books, films, and games turned it into a symbol. It became the image of the invincible enemy, whose mere appearance terrified Allied soldiers. But the myth lived longer than the tank itself. Reality was different. The Tiger didn't win. It became a heavy anchor dragging down an army that believed in machines more than men. And that is the true irony. The Tiger was meant to be the peak of engineering, but it became a monument to human arrogance. A machine where genius met the reality of war and lost. A legend that consumed fuel, men, and resources faster than the enemy could shoot. It was mighty, imposing, beautiful. But every German tanker, opening the Tiger's hatch, knew. Inside was not just power, but a death sentence. Because this tank spared no one, neither enemy nor friend.